So Facebook is good. I'm a little early. Imagine that. All right, and YouTube is off. So that's all right. Sometimes the cameras get a little off, but I'm afraid to mess with them too much because I make it worse. So, all right. Ooh. All right, so hopefully that makes the volume better on Facebook. Good to go. I'm gonna wait just a few more minutes and looked at my wrist like I have a watch or something. Okay. It's a little noisy right now. I'm going to leave the heater on for a little bit longer because it's cold. And Floridians are like notoriously sissy about the cold, but we also hate to turn the heat on in the house because usually it's snowing and it just dries it out and stuff. So that is still me, but I am still really cold. Close, yeah. Getting close. Hello. Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right, here we go. All right, so it's got to be close enough. Typically, the first of the year, we do kind of a restart, right? And we're like, oh, a fresh start for the year. I'm going to do this, this, and this, right? And maybe this happens, but maybe not that. But anyway, for the first few weeks of our practice, we really kind of go back to basics. Right? And it's important. It's important all the time, right? Because if you get, right, just take standing. Right? We've been standing. Well, I've been standing for, I don't know, 50 some years, 54 probably something. I don't know. How old am I? I don't know. Anyway, so once you've been doing it for a little minute, it just is natural and you don't think about it anymore, right? Well, the whole purpose of yoga is to be thinking about it. So even something as simple as standing, we think about it. Well, if it's your 7 millionth Warrior 2, are you really thinking about it? You're just doing it because you know what Warrior 2 is. So the idea today is to be approaching your practice like a beginner. Like it's brand new, you've never done it before. How do I do this? Where's my foot? How does it feel? That kind of stuff. Right? So that's the idea today. It's going to be fairly simple. We're not going to get super complicated to really help us focus on that piece of it. So, yeah, as always, listen to your body. Feel free to bump it up. If you need to skip some things, skip them, right? So just always listening to what your body needs from you and being present in the moment. That's the idea. So come on over to the mat if you're not there already. Take seats. I didn't sit on the floor because the floor is really cold. And I'm a big sissy. So anyway, sitting well here, heels in line to the groin. If you need to sit up on a block to help your knees fall open, feel free. Make sure you feel upright on your pelvis. Try to relax your hips. Lift the pelvic floor, pull the lower belly in and up. Sit tall through your sides. Relax through your shoulders. Extend out the crown of your head so we sit extra tall here. Closing your eyes, just take a moment. So this is another thing. We sit all the time. Right? You probably don't sit like this. But we want to be aware of our seated position, making any adjustments as you feel is necessary. And the more you do it, the more comfortable it gets. And allow that awareness to move to your breath. And for a moment, see if you can just notice what naturally occurs. Typically, when we start to notice it, we change it. See if you can notice what is. Breathing through the nose, allow that breath to expand. So take your inhales a little bigger. Exhaling a little bit more completely. Until you find a place that is just a little bit beyond comfortable. So make it a little bit of work. And then stay connected. Stay connected to your seated position, staying connected to your breath here. Let's go ahead and extend the arms out to the sides. And on an inhale, we're going to stretch them toward the ceiling, coming together when the lungs are full. And then exhaling back down. Gently touch the floor when you're empty. Again. One more time like that. Come back to the top, inhale. And then exhale the right hand back to the mat and give yourself a tip to the left, to the right. Keeping the pelvis rooted, long through your spine, big breath. And then inhale, come on back to center. Exhale over to the left. Same idea here, nice full breath, stretching the spine long. And then back to center. Once more here, over to the right. Maybe a little deeper stretch this time. Big full breath again. And then back to center. Over to the left. Inhaling back to the middle. We'll go ahead and release the arms. Bringing the right hand to the left knee, left hand behind the back. Twisting over to the left here. Sitting nice and tall. Noticing where your spine is rotating most. Or maybe least, because it's a little tight yet this morning. Especially when it's cold. Let's release that, come on back to the middle, over to the right. Same idea. Just kind of observing what naturally occurs. Releasing that back to the middle again, back over to the left, and work a little deeper into this one. So supporting with the left arm back there, maybe pulling against the right knee a little bit. Think rotating your belly button, rotating your side ribs, rotating your shoulder, maybe looking over the shoulder. So a little bit more even, making that twist a little more intentional. We're going to release that back to the center and over to the second side. Same idea, using the arms and rotating around. Coming back to the center again. Taking the ankles, soles of the feet, and hanging onto the ankles. Drawing the heels in toward the groin, releasing into that inner hip here. You can still be up on your block if that's you, right? You might want to slide something underneath the thighs to make that a little bit more comfortable. Listening to your body always. Help yourself out. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Elbows to the inner hips here. Maybe tilting the belly button toward the heels. So again, it's early. And take a couple more nice big breaths. With the next inhale, we're going to hinge back up again and extend the legs long. So if you are sitting on a block, you want to move it for sure. Watch that the knees don't hyperextend, but take the legs straight as much as you can. Feet flex with the toes pointing at the ceiling. We're still upright on the pelvis, feeling that basic foundation. Still the same thing. Sitting nice and tall, let's reach the arms. And then hinging from the hip, come forward. When you can't come forward any further, let your hands fall. So maybe you touch your toes and maybe you don't. But noticing here where you kind of start. And then as you hold and breathe, maybe your hamstrings get a little bit more happy about this. So keeping the shoulders down and back, try to avoid rounding through your spine. And again here, just noticing the stretch. Where did you start? How does it feel? Where are you feeling this most? We've got another big breath. With an inhale, we're coming back up. And then releasing the arms. So let's open the feet, taking a straddle. And it is very early, so don't worry about how wide the straddle is. Find a nice little stretch in the inner thigh here. Still upright on the pelvis, right? Making sure you are if you're not. Sitting nice and tall. Reach the arms up. We're going to rotate around toward the left leg and then fold here. So the same idea. We hinge forward from the hip. Hands on either side of the leg. And just allow the stretch to develop. Take another nice big breath here. We'll inhale, come on back to the top. Rotate around to the right and then do the same thing. Hinging, keeping the spine tall. And just finding the stretch. Wherever that might start and wherever that might finish. Well, finish for now anyway. One more big breath over here. And then we'll inhale, come on up again. Releasing the arms. Let's take the left hand and pin it up underneath the right thigh here. Reaching the right arm up, we're going to hinge over toward these left toes, but forget that. See about bringing your left. So we want to press against the thigh here to open that right shoulder. Keeping the spine really tall. So rather than rotating toward your leg, you're rotating toward the ceiling-ish. Feeling tall through your spine. Nice big breaths. And then we'll inhale, come on back to the top. Release the left hand and then switch, pinning the right. Reaching up with the left and over. Again, that elbow more toward the inner thigh here. And allow the shoulder to draw back. Maybe looking up even. And again, just going to notice where you start. Again, it's early. And notice if you're able So move in there into that stretch a little deeper. Let's inhale, make our way back up to the top. We'll release the arms and bring them into the middle. Keeping the spine nice and tall here, go ahead and hinge forward, belly button toward the floor-ish. And just finding the stretch. Take a couple more nice big breaths here. With the inhale, hinging back up. Bring the feet back together. You bounce your knees, wiggle around a little bit if you feel like you need to here. And then we're going to come around onto hands and knees. So all fours, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. With the inhale here, we drop the belly toward the floor. And on the exhale, round the spine toward the ceiling. Connect it to your breath in and out like that. Notice which areas of your spine feel a little tight. Let's see if you can feel like you're breathing into them to open it up a little. Once more in each direction. And then find that middle again. So walking the hands forward or the knees back, we're going to move into kneeling plank. So straight line from the crown of the head to the knees. If you wanted to be in a full plank here, you certainly could. Okay? Keeping the spine neutral or keeping the shoulder blades neutral on the back. Let's take a side plank here. So take your right foot over to the right side of your mat and open the body to the left. So we're on the right hand, right knee with the left toes at the back. Shoulders are stacked-ish. You can reach the left arm up. Maybe take it over. Maybe lift the left leg. And then bring that arm back toward the ceiling. With the breath here, exhale and take the hands between your right hand and the floor. The rest of your body, leaving underneath here. Reaching behind and then inhaling to reach back toward the ceiling. On your knee, reach back, inhale back up. Let's do that just a couple more times. Once we're back to the ceiling, release it all and rotate into kneeling plank. So the same idea on the second side here. Left foot over to the left, opening the body to the right. So what you add on or not is entirely up to you. Lots of pieces. Do what feels right for you at this moment on this side. It could be different, right? So we're going to reach back up toward the ceiling and then start that threading through, exhaling as we reach back, inhaling as we come back up. Take a few breaths like that. Let's go once more. Back up to the top. Then rotate back into kneeling plank. So that straight line from the crown of the head to the knees, nice neutral spine, using your belly, pull it in, right? And then slow as possible, stay in that straight line, start to bend your elbows back towards your side ribs,
and lower to the floor, nice and controlled. If you had to flop, you had to flop. Don't worry about it. So the hands are next to the side ribs rather than under the shoulders. Pull them back. Hug the elbows in. And that kind of draws your shoulders back or up or however you feel this. With the breath, on an inhale, we're going to roll the shoulders up by the ears, together on the back, and down toward the hip bones. Just rolling like that with the breath, inhaling up and exhaling down. One more breath like that. And then just release down. We're going to move back into our kneeling plank just like we came down. So super controlled, everything moves together. Pull your lower belly in towards your spine, keep those elbows in, and slowly make your way back to kneeling plank. Sitting all the way back to a child's pose. Sinking into the hips, stretching through the spine, your arms. Maybe you prefer your arms or your hands back by your heels here, or making a little pillow for your head if it doesn't quite reach the floor. Listening to your body, always. If they're not already, go ahead and stretch the arms out long in front. We're going to tuck the toes under, lift the knees off the floor, and move into down dog. So just allow yourself to kind of wiggle and stretch a little bit first. Maybe shifting forward and back like planks to down dogs. And just kind of playing with it. Allowing yourself to settle in then, pressing through the heels, pressing your chest back. Staying grounded through the four corners of the hands, nice and strong here. We're going to take the right big and second toe, straddling the left Achilles tendon here, right above the heel, and then see if you can use that right foot to press the left heel a little closer to the floor. And maybe it works and maybe barely. Just kind of play with it, see what happens. Releasing that side, switch. So take the left big and second toe, straddling the right heel there, and then gently encourage the right heel closer to the floor. And it still doesn't have to touch, that's not a rule. It's a stretch. Release the left foot, and then pressing down through both heels. Maybe it's a little different than it was before, maybe not. So inhale, forward, come to a plank position, drop the knees if you like. Exhale back, moving into down dog again. Okay? So we're gonna do a few more flows like that. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. Let's go once more. When you're back to down dog, go ahead and drop to the knees and sit back in child's pose. So those two positions should be pretty stable. Your hands and feet don't really move. It's just whether the body is shifting forward or pressing back. So we're going to come back up to down dog. And we're going to work with side planks again here. So if you prefer, you can drop back down to your knees and take the side planks that we had before, with the right foot moving out to the right, opening the body to the left, so we're on the knee, right? Or we're going to step the left foot roughly halfway to the hands. Turn your toes out to the left so that foot can be flat. roll to the outside edge of your right foot, and then you're in this variation of side plank. So you decide what you need. You can always go to a full side plank as well. Maybe the left arm reaches up, maybe it reaches over. Nice and even on the four corners of that little right hand on the floor. And then we're gonna release it back into down dog. Or kneeling plank if that's where you're at. And then we're going the second side. So if you're on your knees, that left foot out to the side, opening to the right. Otherwise, it's the right foot halfway to the hands, turning the toes out, rolling to the outside of the left foot, and moving into side plank. Big full breaths. Where are you feeling the work? We're going to release that, come back to down dog. And drop into child's pose again. So let's make our way back to down dog. Stepping the right foot forward, come to lunge. Bringing the foot all the way up so that your knee and ankle are stacked. Let yourself kind of wiggle around into it a little bit. Find a center, imagine drawing your legs toward each other. You can always drop the left knee if you like. Take the right leg straighter. Shoulders back, belly in. And then bend back into the knee. Take the right hand to the hip and rotate around into a twist. Pressing through the back heel, extending out the crown of your head. Nice big breaths. Release it back to center. Take that right leg straight again. Maybe finding a bigger stretch. You can flex the right foot and add a little extra there if that's working for you. Maybe just having the leg straight is a big old miracle. Bend back into the knee, walk the hands around into the center of a straddle, and let yourself hang here for a second. Toes point forward, so we're even on the four corners of the feet. Just let your upper body hang, wherever that might be. If you need a little bend in your knees, feel free. And then take those hands, walk them around to your left foot, and lunge to the second side. So once you get there, make sure that your feet are where they need to be on this side. Wiggle around into your hips a little bit. And then again, here, think sweeping your legs toward each other. Slowly see about taking the left leg straight. Dropping the right knee if you need the right knee on the mat. We're going to bend back into the knee. Take the left hand to the hip and add in your twist here. Releasing that side. See about taking the left leg straight again, adding on or not. If and when you're ready, always if and when you're ready. Releasing that, bending back into the knee, walking around into your straddle again. So the toes point forward, bend the knees if you need to. We're taking the index and middle fingers and wrapping them around the big toes here. Four corners of the feet on the mat, elbows out to the sides. See about gently drawing yourself a little bit deeper into this stretch. Releasing the toes, take the fingers to interlace behind the lower back. Pull the shoulder blades together and then stretch the knuckles away. Shoulders away from the ears, maybe the hands are away from the lower. Maybe they're not. Let's release that. Take the hands, we're gonna walk around to the right foot again, and then step to the top of the mat. Let's take a little bend in the knees here if they're not already, and we're gonna roll up through the spine, come all the way to standing. All right, so let's get moving a little bit. We're gonna take some sun salutes. I think we're gonna start off a little easier today, just because. And we'll build up again this year throughout the course of the year. So the toes are pointing forward, we're standing nice and tall. Never forget your foundation. Reaching the arms as we inhale. Exhale, make your way over into a fold. Inhale, come halfway up, hands to the thighs if you need. And then exhale, step yourself back into plank or kneeling plank, all the way down to the belly. With an inhale, roll into the shoulders, baby cobra, keeping the elbows in, up and back into down dog. Let's inhale, step the feet forward, come into fold. Halfway up with the next inhale. Fold back over again. Come all the way up, reaching to the ceiling. Exhale, release. We'll do another one just like that, super simple. Inhaling as we reach up. Exhale into the fold. Inhale halfway up. Exhale back to plank or kneeling plank. All the way down to the belly. Into cobra. And then back to down dog. Inhaling as we step forward into the fold. Coming halfway up. And then exhaling back over. Reach for the ceiling. And exhale, release. So we're going to add in with the next one. Remember to listen to your body. Adjust if you need. On the inhale, sit into chair. Exhaling over into the fold. Inhaling up. Halfway. Exhale, step it back into plank or kneeling, and then drop it down to the belly. Cobra, and down dog. On the inhale this time, we're going to step the right foot forward into lunge. Toes all the way up there. Back near heels of the mat. Inhale and lift the rest of the body up. Exhale, step over, move back to down dog. Inhale, slide forward into your plank. Exhale down to the belly. Cobra. And back to down dog. Switching sides, left foot forward. Heel or knee to the mat. Make sure those toes are up there. Inhaling as you reach up. Exhaling as you come back down. And move back to down dog. One more time then, slide forward for plank. Exhale to the belly. Inhale into cobra. Back to down dog. So hold your down dog or drop into child's pose. Smooth, easy breaths. Thinking about your foundation. One more breath where you are. And if you drop down, lift back to down dog. On the inhale, stepping forward into fold. Halfway up. And then back over. Into chair. And exhale, release it. All right, so standing nice and tall, we're gonna take a nice big step back with our left foot. And we're working into that warrior two that we've been in a million times. More, maybe. So 4 corners of both feet. Right toes pointing toward the top of the mat, left toes cut in maybe a little bit. If your hips are pretty open, you might be able to have that back foot, the outside edge parallel to the back of your mat. Maybe. When we bend into the knee, we can see just the big toe. Hips are level. Sometimes that left hip kind of cocks up a little bit. Keep them level. Shoulders, same thing. Arms parallel to the floor. Looking over the right hand, maybe. And then think about your feet again. Smooth, easy breaths. Let's take the right leg, yikes, straight. Stretch forward over your toes. So the shoulders are still in line with the hips here. The right hand falls and the left hand lifts. If you need to be leaning on this right hand, lean on only as much as you need. Still feeling even in the feet, open in the hips. Shoulders are stacked. And you're breathing. We got another big breath. Bend the knee if you need here. Inhale, hinge up. Release the arms and start a retreat. So we're going to take warrior two to the second side. Same idea. Left toes turn toward the back. Right toes turn in a little bit. Right? Check it out. If you find that this left knee is kind of falling in, the more your right toes point toward the left foot, the less that'll happen. So right, just adjusting, bending into the knee, checking for your big toe, extending the arms, and then think about the pieces. What's working the most? What's feeling the biggest stretch? Let's go ahead and take the left leg straight. Reach forward and hinge over. Lean if you must. Take a couple more big breaths. Inhaling as we hinge back up. Releasing the arms. Go ahead and step back to the top of your mat. I'm going to take balance next. How's everybody doing here? All right. So keeping it simple, maybe, right? We can add on a little bit if you're there, right? Stepping off the mat and you're moving near a wall, whatever it is you need, so that you can stand confidently on one foot. Taking all the weight over into the right foot. Let's lift the left knee, open at the hip here, bringing that foot to the inside of the right leg, whether your toes are on the floor or your heels up in the inner hip here, or inner thigh. Yikes. Hug together. So if this is boring, you've been here a million times and you're super aware of everything and you're standing tall, and again, this is too boring. You can take the left foot so that it's hanging just off of the right knee, right? The heel and ankle are just above the knee. And here, instead of hugging together in the middle, we want to hug forward and back, right? So really pressing that outer left ankle into the right thigh. Standing tall, you can take this into a half chair idea, right? Or you can simply extend the arms, for a tree, wherever you are. Maybe closing your eyes or changing your focus to make it less or more difficult. Hug to center. Are you breathing? You gotta do that too. So whatever you have here, go ahead and make your way back to center, releasing the left foot to the floor. And then we'll go to the second side. So lots of options, making it more or less challenging, adding moving the arms if it's not fun enough yet, right? But again, sticking enough to the basics that you're feeling every single piece. All the way to the right knee, opening it out to the side, and then decide where that foot needs to go. And maybe you start in one place, but maybe that's not the right place and you can change it, right? So listening to your body, hugging into center, stand extra tall. If your right foot is on the inside of the leg, bending the left knee doesn't make any sense, right? But if it's in front of, it totally is. So you decide where you want to be on this side. We're going to take just a couple more breaths. And then we're going to make our way back to center. Releasing the foot. Coming back to the top of your mat if you're not already there. So let's inhale, stretch the arms up. We're going to take ourselves over into the fold. And just allow yourself to hang for a second. So maybe a little bend in the knees, let your spine round, let your shoulders sag toward the floor. Stepping ourselves back to down dog. Just go ahead and drop into child's pose. And in this child's pose here, open your knees a little wider. And imagine dropping your belly button toward the floor. So see if you can really sink in here. If you still need to support your head, feel free. And then keeping the knees wide, come back up on your hands and knees. So the knees are kind of maybe toward the edges of your mat. And you can decide how wide or how narrow they need to be. Right? Always change them up. Bringing the big toes to touch. We're going to keep the toes touching each other and touching the floor. From here, walk your hands forward, kind of like a wide-legged kneeling plank idea, right? And now, see if you can drop down to your forearms. Maybe all the way down to the belly. Toes stay touching each other and touching the floor. The knees might be a little wider, a little less. Listen to your body. Support yourself however you need. So if you have a block or a blanket that you want to lay under your belly, you're free to do that. And then we're going to press back up and sit back with those wide knees. So come back up to sit on your heels. Bring the knees a little closer together, but still not touching, right? And then open your feet so that your heels can maybe be on the outsides of your hips. If this is an absolute no-go, skip it, right? If you can hang out here, but maybe you want to block underneath your butt to lift your hips a bit so that this is more pleasant or more accessible, then definitely go there, right? Otherwise, we're just kind of hanging out here for a second. Notice where you feel the sensation. Again, if it's too much, come out, right? Or back it off, depending on what you need. So we're going to leave our shins where they are, and then come forward and down onto the belly again. Think turning your tailbone towards your heels. rest yourself back up and sit back between your heels again. Feel any different? Come forward again. Drop to the belly. Turn your tailbone toward your knees, pressing the pelvis down into the floor. Press back up and sit back between your heels again. Do that one more time. Come forward. Drop down. Pressing the pelvis into the mat. And then press back up. So maybe this is a little better, right? Maybe you're just a little more comfortable in it. Maybe your bottom is touching the floor. If this is too much, come out. If it's enough, stay. If you have a block underneath your butt, you're gonna stay. So otherwise, maybe you scoot forward on your mat a little bit. Keeping the hips between the heels. The hands can simply come back and rest on your feet. Keeping the tailbone turned toward the knees just a little bit. Nice tall spine here. If this is not so bad, what would happen if you took the elbow to the floor? Knees stay where they are. Maybe two. And if it's you, you can drop down to your shoulders, right? So the knees want to lift and move closer together. Don't let them, right? So cut it back a bit. Keeping the tailbone tucked so that your lower back feels good. Try not to let your head just flop back here, depending on where you are. We're going to take just a couple more breaths. Remember, listen to your body. Make it more or less challenging. With the next inhale, we're coming back up again. Holding upright. And then gently coming forward onto all fours. Roll your ankles, tap the tops of your feet. Stretch your legs out long back there. And then go ahead and take a down dog. From your down dog, go ahead and jump all the way down. We're coming down to the belly. Almost done. We're almost done. So take the left arm out, right? Hand in line with the shoulder, palm facing the floor is a little easier to keep it where you want it. We're going to start turning to the left side. Listen to your body, and when it's enough, it's enough. You can keep turning so that both feet are flat to the floor and both hips are on the floor, right? Or not. Find the stretch and don't worry about what it looks like. Releasing that back to your belly. Let's switch sides. So the right arm out, hand right in line with the shoulder, palm face down, and start to roll. And each side might be a little different, so just go with it. Listening to your body. And then gently releasing back to the middle. Tuck your arms in and roll over onto your back. So wiggling back to your mat, of course. Find a nice neutral spine here. And you can have the feet flat or your legs extended, whatever works better for you. Just finding that neutral spine on the floor. Working with a bridge, we're going to take the feet flat to the floor. So feet, hip bone distance apart. I know you can't see them, but if they're touching, that's too close, right? And if you can feel them on the outside of the hips, that's too wide. Keeping these nice neutral curves in the spine, make sure the back of your neck does not touch the floor. Hugging your elbows in, you can have your elbows bent at the waist, or you can have them flat to the floor, entirely up to you. Keep looking at the ceiling. Press down into your triceps, pull your heels toward your hips, and lift your hips up off the floor. So how high you go with this is entirely up to you. Try staying flat on the feet, right? If you have a block and you want to support your lower back, feel free. Otherwise, you can move a little deeper, interlacing your fingers, tucking your shoulders up underneath, lifting your hips a little higher. The neck and head stay comfortable. Knees stay moving toward each other, not touching. We're going to take just a couple more breaths in our bridge pose. And then release it all, gently spinning the hips back on the floor. Taking the soles of the feet together, let the knees open wide, and just rest your legs. Bringing the knees back together, hugging the knees into the chest. Give yourself a little rock, just because that feels good. A little for the abs then today. We're going to keep the knees bent. We're going to bring the knees over the hips and take the shins parallel to the floor. So you've got roughly a 90-degree bend in the knee here. And the knees are over the hips, not closer to the chest, not down by the bottom of your mat. So the arms can be for now wherever you want. Moving with the breath here, we keep that 90-degree bend in the knee, and on an exhale, take that right heel toward the floor, maybe just touch, and then inhale, come back to the middle. Exhale, do the same thing with the left foot, barely touching the floor, and then back to the middle. So move side to side like that, using the lower belly. Keeping that knee bent protects your lower back. Let's go one more time on each side. When you're through, go ahead and hug your knees in. Give your belly a little break. And then we're going to add on to that. So the legs are going to do exactly what they were doing. Knees over hips, shins parallel to the floor. This time the arms extend to the ceiling. Working opposite sides of the body. So as we exhale, that right heel's moving to the floor, but the left thumb's come to the floor over your head. And then inhale, come on back to the middle. Exhale the left heel and the right thumb toward the floor overhead. And then go back to the middle. So opposite sides, back and forth like that. And the stationary body part stays stationary. It wants to swing around and help, but don't let it. Once more on each side. When you're back to center, go ahead and hug those knees back into the chest and rock. Taking the feet flat to the floor. Let's open the arms out into a T position. Pick your hips up, move them to the right edge of your mat, and drop your knees to the left. And you decide here, right? Whether just resting into this twist is like the greatest thing ever. Or if you want to take one or both legs straight, it worked into our hamstrings pretty good. That should be all right. So that toes move towards your right hand. Whether they touch the hand or not does not matter. Right? Just over in that direction. And maybe even with the legs straight, you want to kind of just melt into that twist. Or you can press, especially through your left heel, right heel, reaching that right. So more or less work. We're going to take just a couple more breaths on this side. And then make your way back to the middle. Switching, take the hips over to the left and the knees over to the right. Same idea here. Maybe you just want to melt into the twist with the knees bent. Maybe the legs straight is better. Maybe just your right leg. You know, take them both straight. And maybe you still just let gravity do its thing, or maybe you work a little harder into the twist. See what happens over here. What does your body need? You got just couple more breaths over here. And then making your way back to the middle again. Once you're back to center, go ahead and draw the knees into the chest, rock. And then squeeze them in, tight as you can, pulling your forehead to your knees. Releasing that into a full body stretch. And then release that stretch. And you're making your way towards Shavasana. So whether you want to be flat on the floor, feet flat, legs up the wall, soles of the feet together, whatever makes you happy. But find that place. Don't just take flat on your back because you always do. Right? And then double check in. Do you feel aligned? Once your body feels aligned, release all of the muscles into the mat. Get heavy and relaxed. And then come back solely to your breath. Releasing control of the breath. Allowing your mind to stay focused on it. So maybe counting, or simply observing something about the breath. Helping the mind to stay focused and quiet. Allowing yourself to rest for just a few minutes. Slowly draw in a deep cleansing breath. And then let it go. Begin to wiggle fingers and toes. Gradually move and stretch through your arms and your legs. Another full body stretch if that sounds good. When you're ready, taking the feet flat to the mat, if they're not already. Slowly making your way back up to a seated position. Keep your eyes closed and your mind in this quiet place. Sitting well. Bringing the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. So I hope you feel better than you did when you started. Maybe it's a little warmer for you, maybe not. So definitely let me know if you have any suggestions, any questions, any modifications that you might be struggling with, poses you'd like to see in the future. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for hanging out with me. And we will hopefully see you next week. No weird thing happens. See you guys. Thank you.